So, let's talk about something many of us face after 60. How do you let people in again, especially after you've been hurt? You know, it's not just a feeling. There's actually a science to why it feels so hard. And today, we're going to explore that science and give you a really practical guide to building new connections, safely and with a whole lot of confidence.
Okay, here's our roadmap for today. First, we're going to put a name to that hidden silence a lot of people feel. Then, we'll dive into the brain science, the protective architecture that actually creates it. From there, we'll make a huge shift, from being a guard to becoming an auditor. And I'll walk you through a step-by-step protocol for building trust. We'll wrap things up by reframing this whole experience, not as damage you have to heal from, but as you stepping into your own wisdom and control. All right, let's start by naming something really profound that can happen after 60. It's a kind of quiet loneliness, but it's not because you don't have opportunities to connect with people. No, it's a loneliness that comes from a conscious, almost subconscious protective choice to keep the world at a safe distance. Think about it this way. It's not the loneliness of an empty room. It's more like the quiet inside a fortress you've built around yourself. It's that deliberate decision to pull up the drawbridge because, honestly, the risk of another betrayal just feels too high. This is what we call the Betrayal-Stasis Loop. It's where pain from your past puts your future on permanent guard duty. Now this reframes everything, doesn't it? Your caution, your hesitation. It's not a personality flaw. It's a neurological defense mechanism. Your brain has literally done the math and is actively trying to protect your most precious resource at this stage of life, your energy, your vitality. And here is the crucial piece of that calculation your brain is making. You know, back when you were 30, you probably felt like you had endless time and energy to bounce back from a betrayal. But now, your brain does a completely different kind of math. It weighs the immense, gut-wrenching cost of another heartbreak against the time you have left, and it decides, nope, the recovery time is too short, the risk is just too high. And that powerful instinct turns simple caution into a full-blown fortress. So how does this protective instinct actually build a defensive wall inside your brain? I mean, if you've ever felt that just the thought of meeting new people is exhausting, you're not imagining it. There's a very clear biological reason for that feeling. This is the neurobiology of being on high alert. See, a major betrayal can literally rewire your brain's threat detection system. Your amygdala, think of it as your internal smoke detector for danger, it gets jammed in the on position. So suddenly, every new person isn't an opportunity for connection, they're a potential threat that needs to be scanned. And that constant scanning is just utterly draining. And this brings us to a really critical concept called Relational Task-Saturation. Imagine your brain is a computer with way too many programs running at once. That constant on-guard feeling, vetting new people, analyzing their motives, protecting yourself, it takes up a huge amount of processing power. And eventually, your system just gets saturated, and your brain makes a perfectly logical choice. It's easier to shut down the program. Being alone feels simpler and frankly safer than being on guard 24/7. So let's just quickly break down this complex internal math. A big betrayal doesn't just hurt, it can shatter your fundamental belief that the world is a basically safe place. It also creates this weird paradox where your brain is constantly weighing the potential reward of a new friendship against the devastating cost of another heartbreak, and the cost just feels so much heavier now. And finally, a new person can start to feel like a threat not just to your heart, but to the entire stable, peaceful life you've worked so hard to build. Okay, this right here, this is the turning point. We've diagnosed the problem, we understand the brain science behind it, now we're going to shift from that passive state of defense to one of active, empowered control. This is where you really start to take your power back. Just look at the powerful identity shift here. It's night and day. On the left, you've got the life of the guard. It's anxious, it's passive, you're just waiting for people to prove themselves to you. But on the right, you have the life of the auditor. It's active, it's methodical, and you are in control, calmly looking for evidence of integrity. The second you become the auditor, the anxiety starts to fade because the control is back in your hands. You stop being a victim of circumstance and become the lead investigator of your own life. This right here, this is the core philosophy that unlocks absolutely everything. You do not owe anyone your trust. Trust is not something you give away freely hoping it'll be honored. It is something you observe being built through consistent, repeated patterns of behavior over time. Kindness is nice, for sure, but integrity? Integrity is a pattern. And as the auditor, you're looking for the pattern. And this, honestly, is the ultimate act of self-respect. The pressure is completely off. You don't have to worry anymore about whether or not you can trust another person. The only thing you need to focus on is building and trusting your own methodical, reliable system for vetting people.
When you trust your system, that fear of being fooled just evaporates because you know your process will protect you.
So that all sounds good in theory, right? The auditor? But how do we actually do it? How do we put this new identity into practice safely and effectively? Well, we do it with a clear, mechanical framework. This isn't vague advice. This is a real protocol.
This is the central question, isn't it? The isolation is painful, but the vulnerability feels terrifying. The answer isn't to just throw the vault doors wide open. The answer is to build a bridge, one single brick at a time, using a protocol that prioritizes hard evidence over fleeting emotions.
All right, this is the graduated entry protocol. Let's walk through it. Step 1 is the low-stakes audit. You start small. Ask for a tiny favor or share a minor non-personal opinion. See how they handle it. Think of these as micro-trust reps, like in a gym. You're building strength without a heavy risk. Step 2, the values alignment check. Watch their actions, not just what they say. How do they treat a waiter? How do they talk about an old friend? That stuff tells you everything. You're looking for patterns. Step 3 is the 90-day probationary window. This is so crucial. For the first 3 months, you keep new people in a friendly but kind of distant outer circle. This gives all that initial excitement time to fade so you can see who they really are. And finally, step 4, the communication boundary. State a simple preference, like, I prefer to make plans a bit in advance. Then just watch. Do they respect it or do they push back? Their response is pure, invaluable data for you.
And here's a little bonus tool to use with the protocol, the intuition log. Look, your gut feeling, that's data. That little red flag you feel is your subconscious picking up on something. But feelings are easy to dismiss, so we're going to turn them into evidence. The moment you feel that twinge of doubt, write it down. The date, the person, what was happening. This transforms a vague feeling into a hard data point. And over time, your log's going to reveal patterns you might have otherwise ignored, teaching you, with proof, to trust yourself. Now, let's take a step back and totally reframe this whole experience. What if the caution you feel isn't damage? What if it's not some flaw that needs to be fixed, but rather, it's the earned wisdom of a life that has been fully and deeply lived?
Please let this sink in. You are not broken. You are discerning. You have spent decades on this planet observing human nature. You have seen it all, kindness and cruelty, integrity and deceit, and that history has made you a master of alignment. You've developed this finely tuned ability to recognize true character, to feel the frequency of integrity. Your caution is the mark of an expert.
And this is the profound clarity that comes with this stage of life. You don't have to rush anymore. You don't have to please everybody. You have the absolute right to set the pace of any new relationship. You are the boss. You are the sovereign ruler of your own social circle. And trusting your brain's need for safety is what ensures your life from this point on is not only soulful and connected, but also deeply and fundamentally secure.
And so, we end right where we began, with you in control. We've looked at the neurology of the fortress, and we've laid out the blueprints for a bridge. You are the sovereign manager of your own heart, and you get to decide how and when that bridge gets built.
Remember this, that painful memory, the thing that created the guard in the first place, it's a feature, not a bug. It's a highly advanced neurobiological safety system. Right now, it might feel like a permanent lock on the door, but with the tools we've talked about, you have the power to recalibrate it. You can turn that hard lock into a sophisticated filter, one designed not to keep everyone out, but to let only the right people in safely.
So, I'll leave you with a gentle challenge to begin today. In the next 24 hours, just identify one person, an acquaintance, a neighbor, and perform one low-stakes audit. Just revisit step 1 of the protocol. Ask for a tiny favor, share a minor opinion, see what happens. This isn't about forming some deep bond by tomorrow. It's just about taking one small, safe, empowered step onto the bridge you are building. It's the best and safest way to begin.
Because you are the boss of the bridge. You control the bricks, you set the pace, and you decide who gets to cross. You can move forward not with blind faith, but with the calm confidence and hope that comes from knowing you have a system to protect you. Audit the pattern, anchor yourself, and lead your life with the profound clarity that you have so deeply earned.